Hey there, Steve Rubis, the Fix-It IRO for Reficcio Investor Relations. Today, we're going to talk about how not to lose credibility as an investor relations officer. I hope you find this list to be interesting, and if you have items to add, please add them in the comments at the bottom. So let me start with a story. Back in 2008, I was a young analyst covering Overstock.com, and for fourth quarter earnings, I wrote, Overstock beat the quarter but missed the full year. Bum. That was a mistake. So we all make mistakes. Hopefully we learn from them. Here's a list of some items that you need to stay away from if you want to maintain your credibility as an investor relations officer. Number one, never ask, can we meet with Vanguard? Vanguard is an index fund. Index funds don't use active research. Therefore, the likelihood of getting Vanguard on an NDR is slim to none, so you're best not to ask the question. Two, never talk up numbers. This is a cardinal rule. Every analyst knows the CFO who's talked up numbers. Sometimes an IR person does it. I've done it, and it's a mistake. You always need to backtrack and never talk up numbers. Always be conservative and let the print beat rather than you talk the expectations higher. Third, never use data, industry data, generated by an investment bank. Now, this one's a little more obscure, but when I was a sell-side analyst, I always felt that the mark of a management team that didn't have control was when they used an investment bank's data to describe their total addressable market or something about their business from a quantitative perspective. At the end of the day, the company needs to be the entity that's producing that analysis. If you're not producing that analysis, you're doing two things. You're saying that everyone who is an investor in your stock needs to go talk to the analyst whose data you're using and only that analyst. And number two, it keeps you from optimizing your sales force. As an IRO, the sell side is your sales force for the stock. If you're using one analyst's data, the rest of your sales force cannot use that data for their benefit and for your benefit of telling your story. The next one, never put explicit valuation in an investor deck. Everyone seems to think valuation is an important part of the equation, which it is, but the buy side develops their own valuation. When you're a sell side analyst, you learn very quickly the buy side does not really care about your valuation analysis. Yes, it acts as a guidepost in their analysis or a way for them to tease out what they might be thinking, but at the end of the day, the way the company should be talking about valuation is through competitive benchmarking and providing the correct KPIs or the most valuable KPIs for an investor to look at to recognize that your business is as good or better than your competitors, your relative competitors, the set that you have defined. Next, another problem is limiting accessibility. If you're an IRO who believes in limiting accessibility, I think you're the scourge of the investor relations community. Every IRO should want to speak to investors who are both rated buy, sell, and hold. The reason you want to talk to sell-rated analysts is it's great information. It's great intelligence. It allows you to know how strong or weak the sell argument is. Additionally, if someone's going to convince that analyst to change his rating, it's going to be you. And if you're not talking to him, that rating's not going to change. Don't take it personally. This one is a tough one. Everyone who works at a public company is working hard to make sure that business grows and develops value. It's hard not to take it personally when an analyst says, hey, this business stinks, or they're not doing something right, whatever. But the bottom line is Wall Street is a place where people are looking to see who overreacts first or who has a temper tantrum first. Don't be the company that throws a temper tantrum because someone is negative on your stock. Another piece of advice, and I think this is one of the worst things I've seen written in the IR community, is giving a free NDR to an investment bank. An NDR is one of the most important pieces of currency that an investor relations professional has. An NDR determines compensation of analysts and determines the long-term tenure of the analysts covering your stock. So just as an equity raise or a capital markets transaction entrenches an analyst in your stock, so does an NDR. The way that you send the message if you're unhappy with research or unhappy with the way the analyst covers your stock is you don't give them an NDR. You don't give them equity raises. You don't give them debt raises. That is the way that you maintain control of your analyst list. Lastly, never tell investors that you're a stock watcher. You don't want investors to think that you went to the Chainsaw Al Dunlop School of Stocks, where you have a Quotron machine in your office as CEO, and all you do is watch every tick up and down of the stock. You may do that, which is fine, but don't tell investors. If you tell that to investors, they're going to hear and sniff out blood in the water, and you're going to lose some credibility with those investors. Lastly, the most important thing you can do as an investor relations professional is be the cheerleader or heart and soul of your company. You need to be the first person who shows that your company is the best place for an investor to put their money. If you can't convince an investor to get excited about your stock as an investor relations professional, you shouldn't be in this business, period. Or at a minimum, you should go look to work at a different company. So again, I hope you like this list. If there are other items that you'd like to add, please put it in the comments below. And at Rafficio IR, if we work with you, we think your stock is worth more money. So give us a call. We'd love to help you out. Thank you.